Hello YouTube. This is a wonderful January with TSCC. I don't know how or I don't know the ins and outs of being a content creator because that's not my intent. It never was. I did say I wanted to start my own channel and start loading videos, but my motivation is gone. And you could call it whatever you want. You could call it me being weak. You can call it me being a follower. But my motivation for doing the video was VS. She's not here anymore, so I don't see a reason to go live or to do a video. I mean, not that I would be able to go live this early in the game anyway, but I really needed to come and do a video because I've been sitting back for the past 3 years looking at everything go down, and I've played the background all this time. Those who do not know me have no idea who I am on these streets. But I started off following Jay Wilson. And because I was following Jay Wilson, the algorithm were sending me like-minded videos. And that would be your Larry Nelsons, your Tim Blaines, your Phi Babes, your VS Sippy Conscious. All these videos started coming in my algorithm, and I just clicked on a couple, and it turns out I liked a lot. I liked Phi Babe. I liked Tim Blaine. I liked Larry. But Jay Wilson was my favorite. He was until he came after Ronnie Vaughn, that is. But to make a long story short, once I saw who Larry Nelson was, and who Phi Babe was, and who Jay Wilson was, I no longer were a fan of theirs. I followed VS because in my mind, not only because we're from the same state, but because I related to her more. When you're a young lady, they don't expect for you to fight as hard as she did. And that's how I am. In my life, people thought that they can either bully me or use me as a punching bag. And FYI, just to let you know, when I first started following VS, I was a shut-in. I hadn't been out of the house in over 3 years. I was dealing with a lot of mental issues, and anxiety issues. And if it were not for VS and TSCC, I would still be there. If not dead, I would still be in that hole. So when people would say, oh, well, all that's following her over there is a bunch of hurt people, or a bunch of needy people, or a bunch of followers, that might be true in my case. But how is that a bad thing? VS gave me the motivation to get up out of this bed, get me a job where I've been promoted, work, take care of my family, do what I was meant to do. That's what she gave me, and I will always love her for that. Always. because she is the only commentator or YouTuber that pulled that out of me. I watch hundreds of YouTubers, and they don't have that sort of effect on me. I had no need to be close to her. I never reached out to her to meet up with her. I was content at her just being my muse and my motivator. A lot of people were not or didn't become enemies of hers until they tried to change her, or until they tried to be too close to her. And I understand that. I really do. I get VS. Now let's come to the reason that I'm making this video. We all know what's going on right now. Excuse me, let me turn my speaker off. Power off. Sorry about that. We all know what's going on right now. And I felt the need to come and do a video because someone said something in Spill It Boys chat that stuck with me. Now I got a list here of people or YouTubers. All right? The first set of names that I'm going to name off and also do a little background on, I kind of understand. No, I don't I do understand why they choosing to do what they're doing. I get it. But my second list of people is why I'm leaning towards what this particular person called in to Spill It Boys Live and said. A conspiracy theory, it may be. But it makes more sense to me than a reality show. Now, my thought is, all these people that are supposedly doing this reality show have one person in common. That's VS. All these people on both of my lists are so-called victims of VS. To top my list is Sean Bradley. Now, the lady said when she called in to Spill It Boy that she feels that this is a documentary where they're all going to be giving their videos as well as their thoughts or responses or comments about how VS affected their YouTube life. And because she was arrested, there's their, that's their outro. The intro would be her reigning as the monster that they titled her with. The outro would be her going to jail. That's not what the lady said, but that's the conclusion I came up with. Now, Spill It Boy said that he didn't think that would be possible without VS's consent, but there are a such thing as documentaries that are one-sided. All they're required to do is to ask if she wants to be a part of it. If she doesn't want to be a part of it, that doesn't stop the documentary. It'll just be one-sided. Like the documentary they did on R. Kelly. I'm pretty sure he didn't agree with nothing that they said, but they still did it. They didn't need him to sign off on anything. So this is why I tend to believe this. And I'm going to read this list off. Like I said, first person on my list was Sean Bradley. And the reason why I'm doing this video is to let you know that if that's their intent, they need to understand that the fallout is going to be major. Because if this documentary is done to show VS in a bad light, they need to also remember that there are videos out there showing every last person on my 2 lists coming for VS first. Okay? So like I said, let's start with Sean Bradley. Sean Bradley is nobody's victim. Nobody's. He chose to open his live up and have people call in and dog walk VS. That is, say everything he wanted to say was too chicken shit to say it himself. That is why she came for him. Next person on my list, Five Babe inserted herself in a beef that was going on between Larry Nelson, Crystal Salter, Vonnie Vine, and VS. It had nothing to do with her. First of all, let me say something. I feel a need to just say something about this particular person. I gave this person a nickname way back when I was first watching her, and I saw how she switched up. I call her roadkill. And she's the type of roadkill that, you know, when you walk up on it, everything about it looks dead, but the leg is still kicking. That's Five Babe. I say this because she doesn't know when to just shut the hell up. Sit back, move in silence, watch. Especially when it's not your beef. She don't know how to do that. I can go into a lot about Five Babe, but that's not the purpose of this video. Five Babe reminds me of that chick in school. You know the one. The chick that the boys put up to fight the girls that they truly like, but the girl don't like them. They go get a Five Babe. They go get a girl like Five Babe to fight her because they're mad. They're pissed off because the girl don't like them. So, you know, you always got your Five Babe. You always got those girls that want the boys' attention so much that they'll do anything for it. This is what Five Babe did. She took on a battle on behalf of Larry Nelson simply because he complimented her in a video. And I'm telling you, that's all it was. He made a video complimenting her. After he made that video, she proceeded to target Crystal Salters, Vonnie Vine, and VS. And it didn't matter to her if the information was true or false. Her whole goal was to fight them for Larry Nelson. Now, that is why she felt the wrath of VS. Wiley. I always liked Wiley. Wiley was the type of person that, you know, or is the type of person that, you know, you can't take what he says seriously. And if you do, that's on you. And I've always seen him as a wishy-washy individual. When he came over to the side of TSCC, I still looked at him as a wishy-washy individual. But I'm not the leader of TSCC. VS is. I follow her lead. And that's all that was. But Wiley doesn't surprise me at all about the moves he's making right now. So we're just going to move right on past Wiley and go to D. Ramsey. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't have too much information on D. Ramsey because I don't really watch her like that. I never have. But I do know that she beefed with VS. She beefed with VS. And she came for VS. And just as all these people that I named before got mad at VS when VS replied. Moving on to S. Hutchinson. Now, as far as I know, she says she pulled out, but she was there in the first group that met up. Now, we all know how it went down with VS and S. Hutchinson. I was a fan of S. Hutchinson before I became a fan of VS's. Just like with a lot of these people that I named, I was fans of theirs before I became a fan of VS. S. Hutchinson and VS locking up was, for me, a dream come true. Because I felt like two strong women coming together was perfect. Because during that time, we were speaking on victims' rights and women empowerment. And I felt like that would be a good look. But the moment S. Hutchinson tried to change VS by telling her what she can and cannot talk about on her platform just because of her affiliation with someone else, that's when she stopped becoming my one of my favorite YouTubers. She, like a lot of other YouTubers, tried to change VS. Tried to change her. And if anyone knows VS, like we in TSCC know VS, that's a big mistake. You can't change this woman. This woman is going to move how she wants to move. And I am okay with that. But a lot of people will be attracted to you, but still feel like they can change something about you, not realizing that if you change me, I am no longer the person you were attracted to. So why try to change me? And that's the mistake S. Hutchinson made. Next person, Nicole. Now, I was there for everything dealing with Nicole. VS did absolutely nothing to Nicole. Yet she went the hardest at VS. Nicole came to TSCC during our women's empowerment movement, claiming that she is not a part of TSCC and the only reason she was there was to get money. We all accepted that about her. But then when Olivia started moving in, her true colors came out. Her true colors came out. And she proceeded to do a live that, I'm just going to say, in that live, she seemed like the craziest person alive. Because now you're repping TSCC, when before you said you didn't want no part of TSCC. That you was just there for the money. But because someone threatened, in your mind, your position, you did a live and said all that crap, and what you expected was for VS and TSC to back your play. No, we don't back the plays of people who denounce TSCC. You were not TSCC. So why would we back your play? Why would VS back your play? That hurt your feelings. That hurt her feelings really so much that she took it very personal and proceeded to drag TSCC as well as VS. Now, sorry about that, you guys. I thought I had turned it off. Let me make sure I turn it off. All right, it's off now. Okay, it's off now. That's Nicole. Next person on my list is Jay Wilson. And as I told you, he was the first person that I was a fan of. And just like with most of the people on here, I can't stand to hear the sound of his mouth or his voice right now. But one thing about Jay Wilson, he's always been upfront about who he was. He's a slimy snake. I mean, come on. If you expected anything more, then you're the fool. All right? Who's the fool? If I see a fool walking down the street and you have someone following that fool and saying, look at this fool, who am I going to think is the bigger fool? The fool that's saying I'm a fool or the one that's following the fool? See, it's a slippery slope when dealing with Jay Wilson. You can't be a follower of his and then turn around and say, I didn't expect this from him. You're the bigger fool. Because I very well expected that from him. That was no surprise at all. So we gonna just move right on past Jay Wilson. Heidi. Heidi. Heidi also, excuse me, butted heads with VS. And I mean, from VS' point of view, she was the gift that kept giving. I mean, if she had just stayed away, it would have been okay. But she kept coming and kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. It's like she liked the abuse. So that's my first list. Now, all these people I just named and I gave a little quick summary on, all these people struck at VS first. I mean, the videos are out there, you guys. Come on. They came for VS first. Now, with the exception of Wiley, who is just hurt by VS because VS let him go, the rest of those people came for VS, either windmilling for someone else or being upset with her because they didn't agree with something she did. And it really doesn't matter. They still came for her first. The second group of people is just 4 people. These were the surprises. Tim Blaine. And I got down here daughter, but we all know who that is. On-Site April and Jay Dunn. Now these were surprises. This is before the lady called in on Spill It Boy. They were surprises to me because right before Tim left for Atlanta, he said he could never be in the same room with Jay Wilson. All right? Now that's what he said. That's exactly what he said. He would put his hand around his throat. Now that's what Tim Bland said. Now, Tim Bland chooses to say that he's never done anything to VS, that she just came after him for no reason. Well, like I said in the beginning, I was a fan of Tim Bland's. And he absolutely came for VS as well as TSCC by way of defending a YouTuber right now that excuse me. Let me give me a drink of water. I'm not used to this. Okay. Sorry about that, you guys. But that's Tim Blaine. Tim Blaine was giving commentary on a beef that was going on between a friend of his and VS. And instead of him just delivering the facts, he called VS as well as TSCC not only evil, but demons. That was the first strike. When he did that, that's why VS came after him. I even went in his comments and I let him know, I've been following you and I've been commenting and you've been commenting back with me ever since I've been on YouTube. And I am TSCC. And I am not evil, nor am I a demon. I really wish that you would not come to such a harsh conclusion until you actually met or talked with us. But it was too late then. He had already said what he said, and you know, I mean, VS went for the gusto. Yes, she talked about him. She talked about everything about him as well as his dead dog. But you spit on her name as well as TSCC, Tim Blaine. So to now say that you never did anything for her to come after you, oh yes you did. Oh yes you did. By labeling her and us demons and evil, when you never even had an interaction or a conversation or anything like that, you put a target on your back. And just like VS says, when you do something, stand in it. Don't turn around and say you didn't do it. Just say you don't think you should have got the response you got. But don't say you didn't do anything. Because that's a lie. That is an outright lie. You very well did something. You labeled her evil and a demon before you even knew her. And that's why you got the response you got. So right now you can act the victim role, but you're nobody's victim either. Moving on to daughter. I ain't gonna spend no time on this particular person because daughter was a part of the mess until Mama Sippin and VS fell out. Then daughter was no longer a part of the mess. So I'm not gonna say anything bad or good about daughter. I put her on the list because she was there. Let's move on to On-Site April. Oh my goodness. On-Site April has been a nemesis of VS since she was thrown out of TSCC. And to go back and tell that story, it's just too, that's not what I'm about. That's not what this video is about. We all know what went down with On-Site April and VS. And if you don't, I'm sorry. You're just lost. But whether warranted or not, On-Site gave as much as she took. Let's just say it like that. Finally, Jay Dunn. Now we all know, well, we may all know about the mock funeral. And the mock funeral was also a response. Now, I still say, and you know, I'm just put it out there, I was not following or, you know, a part of VS or TSCC during this particular time. And if I had seen, if I was, I probably would have, you know, would have left. I would have. I'm big enough that I would say that if I was also actually there and witnessed the mock funeral, I probably would have left. I came after the fact. That's all I'm going to say about Jay Dunn as well, because just like D. Ramsey, I really don't follow her or watch her. All I know about is a mock funeral, and she is still pissed about it. Now, why did I break these groups up? I broke the group up because, as I said, when the lady called in to Spilly Boys Live and said that this could be a documentary on VS's victims, that clicked for me. The first group of people that I named, it's understandable to me why they would be there if this was a so-called reality show. But the second group, Uncle Tim, Daughter, On-Site April, and J. Don, they don't fit in that. They don't fit there. For whatever reasons, they do not fit in that group if this was a reality show. But they very well fit if this was a documentary about VS and her reign on YouTube. Think about it. What is the one thing they all have in common? What is the one thing they all have in common? They all profess to be victims of VS, and they all came after her first. So my thought is this could be very well a documentary, a one-sided documentary, because they do exist. They don't need her permission, but I don't think they're thinking long term, because all VS would have to do, because once they do that, and if this is what this is, then that's just going to make her bargaining point all the more bigger, because then if it gets picked up and it does well, she could sell her story to the highest bidder. And guess what? All those videos, all those screenshots proving what I've just said, that's going to come out. And guess what? Now the whole world knows. It's not just YouTube, but the whole world knows that everybody that went in that room and said something bad or said something misleading toward VS are nothing but a bunch of, let me refrain from cursing, butt-hurt liars. That's it. They're butthurt and still butthurt, and the girl is gone. Sean's so butthurt. I'm gonna go back to Sean because, like Billy Boy said, didn't mean to say that, but he's in the Nene Leakes seat. If this is a reality show, he's in the Nene Leakes seat. That means he's the most butthurt out of everybody. Sean is butthurt because if it were not for VS, no one would have known that he had orphans in his basement. No one would have known that Pepe ran away. See, no one would have known these things. And all that coming after VS about and lying on her, saying she called CPS, because she didn't. The person has since come out and admitted that it was them, and you still want to hang on and keep it going that it was VS because you need a reason to hate her. Had you complied when she asked you to stop using her for content, none of this would have happened. Each one of these individuals came after VS first. I can't stress that enough. And the videos are out there. So whether this is a reality show or a documentary, I look at it as a magnifying glass. That is something TSCC is known for doing, bringing things to light. People are just not looking at it long term, but I am. So I guess I'm saying to all the people that are hurt out there, don't be hurt, because what goes around comes around. I do not believe in karma. I believe in when you do wrong, wrong comes your way. When you lie, that comes back around. I very much so believe in that. And that's not karma, that's God. I just want you guys to realize that anything. This is just like when they all teamed up on VS. It didn't go with, but you know, it drawed out for a long time, but it didn't go well at all. It didn't go the way they wanted it to go. So this venture is not going to go well either. The blueprint isn't right. So calm down. People, just calm down and sit back and watch. Now, I will go so far as to say, support who you want to support and don't support who you don't want to support. If people disappointed you, you have every right to pull your support from them. You have every right to stop giving them money. You have every right to do what you want to do. So for those who's telling people don't pull your support from who you like, see, here's the thing. Once I see you for who you are, and once you've shown me that I can't depend on what you say, I no longer like you. Okay? I can't like someone and not respect them at the same time. If I like you, that means I also respect you. So that right there is impossible. So if I unsubbed, or if people got unsubbed to, they're voicing that they know I no longer like you. So you very well should unsub and unsupport. You know, I understand why other commentators are saying that, because they don't want to come across as haters. I get it. I get it. But I'm not a commentator. Now, at least. You know, I'm not a YouTuber. Now, at least. I'm just someone that has been following all the BS and looking at everything that's gone on from this point, from 3 years ago to now. And I'm realizing this is the same story. It's just a different day. So I'm not going to panic. And I'm not going to sit up and say, woe is me. Yes, it's effed up. It's very much so effed up. But when you put your faith in man, this is what happens. I never said I had faith in VS. I said I appreciate her for what she's done for me. Therefore, I will support her. That does not mean I have faith in her. How can you have faith in someone that's imperfect? Excuse me. When you do that, that's you setting yourself up for failure. You don't supposed to have faith in someone that is imperfect, that you know gonna mess up. So from that standpoint, if you're upset about losing faith, that's your fault. Hell, I just say, sit back and wait and watch. Just watch. Watch. Just watch. This is the same shit that's been going on for 3 years. Now, either way it goes, whether it's a reality show or a documentary, the blueprint is effed up. It will not stand. That's just my feelings on everything. I'm going to end this video by saying and sending a shout out to Brianna Simone of Pettyville. That's my girl. That is my girl. She's been true blue from day one. I have the utmost respect for her. Even when she got kicked out of TSCC, she left and remained the lady she was before she got kicked out. When she was invited back in, there was no gloating. There was no hi. She remained a lady. And even when she went on Lady Nika's platform to address an ex-TSCC member, I felt her pain and I felt her disgust. I did. And I just want you to know, Brianna, you're not the only one, and I support you fully, okay? But that's all I wanted to say. So, you guys just calm down and watch. Just watch.